RMJ movie reviews back again with another happy Halloween movie review. All right. This time, I said I'm gonna kind of jump back and forth between the well-known and kind of the lesser well-known cult horror films. So this time I decided to do a very mainstream, very traditional one. I told you guys that I'm not doing the entire series of the famous franchises. What I'm gonna do is choose one. I just don't feel like going through all the movies of the famous franchises because there's too many, and I just don't have that much time to do every single one of them. And I don't feel like doing a whole bunch of videos of like 1 through 8 and 10 and all that stuff. So in that case, I just chose one. I chose this right off rip. Halloween H20, starring Jamie Lee Curtis, directed by Steve Miner of House, Friday the 13th, 2 and 3, My Father the Hero, from 1998, co-starring Josh Hartnett and George Clooney's brother. I'm sorry, I forget his guy's name, and LL Cool J pops up in this. Actually, I was going to actually choose for the Halloween franchise movie. I was actually going to do Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. A controversial choice. Last year, I did Curse of Michael Myers. So this year I was going to do Halloween 5 because there's just so much bad in that movie to talk about. But in this case, I was actually going through my Halloween stack, and I might squeeze in another Halloween Michael Myers movie. But I just looked at H20, and out of all of my entire collection of, because I own all the Michael Myers, I own all of them except for Resurrection and the Rob Zombie Halloween 2. I don't own either one of those because those are the ones I really hate. But I hardly almost never watch H20. The last time I even watched H20, I do not even remember. But anyway, long story short, I saw Halloween H20 came out actually summer before I was going into my junior high school year. So it came out when I was 16 years old in 1998. Of course, by then, I had already been a long-time Michael Myers fan. And after Curse of Michael Myers, I don't know how many years it was, 4 or 5 years or whatever it was before that, we just didn't know what was going to happen. We hadn't heard anything with the series. And I was such a movie buff even way back then. I had seen back then it was like E! Entertainment. It used to have like the E! Channel News with like this really hot light-skinned sister. And some dude who had bleach blonde hair. I can't remember his name. And that's when they used to have coming attractions. They used to come on the E! Channel. I used to watch all that back then. But they had shown the behind the scenes of Halloween H20. And I remember I told one of my best buddies, I was like, Halloween H20. He was like, they're making another Michael Myers? I was like, yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis is coming back. And I was pumped. And he was just kind of like, oh, Halloween, what, water? And that's what we all used to say, like, Halloween water? What? H20? Huh? What? But it's 20 years later. So either way, me and two of my really good friends, we saw the film theatrically. Those two hated it. They really, really, really hated it. Me, on the other hand, I was so much of a Halloween Michael Myers geek and buff that I gave it a pass because Jamie Lee Curtis was back, and it was just, this was just better than what we got with Curse of Michael Myers. At least it was less confusing, and it wasn't a poorly constructed movie like that film was. It wasn't poorly put together. This is a very slick movie. It's very well put together in terms of budget and lighting and the actors, and the script is a little bit more tighter, if not it's better put together and a better well told story because they took back all that he's cursed and blah, blah, blah. And they kept it very much close to 1 and 2, which is just, he's back, he's trying to kill her, and let the events unfold. Now, they hated it. I gave it a pass, like I said. I've only seen it here and there over the years. I don't hardly ever watch it. So this is the first time that I've actually watched the film all the way straight through in many, 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 many years. How did I feel upon rewatching it again? Halloween H20 for me has always been a mixed bag. After I saw it when it came on video and I've watched it subsequently over the years, I've always just kind of felt like it's just a mixed bag of a movie. Because versus at the time when I saw it, I was geeking out that like, oh, the movie opened and it was the nurse from 1 and 2, and oh, they used Mr. Sandman, and oh, he stabbed the guy in the back like the nurse from part 2, and oh, they're doing little references to 1 and 2, and da 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 da, and oh, that's just like the scene from 1 where Jamie Lee was looking out the window in class. I was geeking out on all that stuff and geeking out just on Jamie Lee Curtis, playing her Laurie Strode post-traumatic stress, disorder or whatever. And I was geeking out on all that. But I really let the movie's flaws slide, which this is a very flawed movie. Let me start off and say that I do not hate this movie. I just said, I think it's a mixed bag. But I really think, in my personal opinion, that I really think they could have came up with something. Not even so much of the story. The story is fine. I'm fine that they disregarded the other sequels and they just started out clean and said, hey, look, Michael Myers is back. He's just back and he's here to kill it. Okay, I was cool with that. My issue with the film is, number one, it is too slow. Now, I know younger viewers could make that argument about the original film. But here's the key difference. Now, on my special edition, and by the way, this review is going to be long, people. On my special edition DVD for Halloween 1, Deborah Hill says that stylistically, H2O was the closest to Halloween 1. I would agree with that and disagree with it. I would agree with it in a sense that in terms of pace, and the movie just taking its time and letting it unravel, it's very much like the first one. In terms of kind of just letting the characters just live their lives and Michael Myers is following them around, very much like the first one. Minimal death scenes, like the first one. Little gore, like I said, like the first one. I think that's about where they draw the line and how they're similar. And also very wide camera angles, but a lot of the subsequent sequels and stuff kind of kept with that. I think very much what this movie misses big time. And the big issue with this film, and I've seen many YouTube reviewers and fanboys make this complaint, is that it was trying to be too much like Scream. Because we know this was 1998. Scream had come out, 2 years before, so it just has Scream written all over it. Like I've seen some other guys and other people say on YouTube, there's even a scene where they show Scream 2, because Scream 2 had come out the year before, which I had seen theatrically. And they got this scene with Sarah Michelle Gellar, and that kind of takes the credibility away from it being its own universe. You know what I mean? I guess at the time, Scream was trendy, so it was produced by the same film company. So I guess they felt they had to kind of put that in our faces. But for me, even at the time when I saw it, and even watching it yet now as an adult, I just feel that takes away from it being a Halloween movie. And also, they're trying to really make the teens jokey like they were in Scream. And here's one thing that I will give Scream 1 and 2. Those movies are actually funny. The jokes are funny, and it was new. But to try to do that in a Halloween movie, it just didn't work. Number 2, I know 1 and 2 was shot in California, and it obviously was not during fall. But even still, those movies felt like fall, and they tried to make it. There's only one aspect in this movie where it feels like it's fall, and that's where the nurse from 1 and 2 gets killed in the beginning of the movie, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt showing up for a little cameo. That, when they stabbed the pumpkin, that was how the whole movie should have felt. It felt kind of rainy, leafy, orange pumpkins. I wish they would have consistently kept that feel throughout the movie, and that feel is gone. After that opening scene, it's just done. It just doesn't feel like Halloween. It does not feel like Halloween at all. Second issue. I understand everybody says that, I understand they were trying to stylistically make it like the first one, but there should have been more kills. It didn't have to be as graphic as Halloween 2, but I felt there should have been more kills. They should have shown less of Michael Myers. And when I mean less, I mean there's literally shots, and I know Halloween 2 had this problem, where they're just showing full body shots of him. And the guy who plays him in this one, he has a very odd, I don't know, his movements are like very odd. He doesn't physically he just doesn't like have that Michael Myers. I don't know, man. I can't explain it, but I think that comes from showing him too much. I think if they would kind of more keep it like one, where you kind of use sound, the breathing in the first one. Bob is in the kitchen. You don't see Michael, but you can, oh, come on out. Ding! But before he goes up to that closet, you can hear, and they really should have kept that element of the breathing, which is one that they kept in 1 and 2. The breathing was what added to the suspense, what made you feel Michael's presence. Michael has no presence in H2O at all. I just feel like it's a dude in a suit. So he does not feel like that force of nature that he was in 1 and in 2. I don't know what he feels like. He just, like I say, he just feels like a dude who just threw on a mask and got a big old knife. Number 2, this movie is too brightly lit. It's too brightly lit. There's scenes where it's just too lit. There's too much space. It is not claustrophobic enough. I heard Deborah Hill say that on the commentary track, and she did that on the documentary that was on the AMC channel like way back in like '03 or something, or '04, whenever that came out. But that's the key of the first Halloween, is like when Bob is walking through the kitchen, when Linda is in the car, when Jamie Lee's in the closet, or even when Dr. Loomis and Sheriff Brackett go to Michael Myers' house. This close, dark space, you don't know where he's at, claustrophobic and dark. This movie, H2O, is wide open space and bright, and that takes away a ton of suspense. I'm gonna go hard on the music. The music, those are key elements of what makes 1 and even Halloween 2 what it is. I know there's some fanboys who don't like Halloween 2. I found a couple of them sprinkled here and there. I love Halloween 2 just as much as I love 1. 1's a better movie, but I love 2. But 2, they were able to carry that tone over to 2, regardless if 2 is not really as scary, but it still has the creepiness and the dreadful, sinister feel of 1. This has no dread, no sinister feel at all. I just feel kind of neutral when I watch the film. I don't feel creepy. And that's the one thing I'll say. There is no creepiness in this film. And that's because, number 1, they're referencing Scream too much. They're making the kids too jokey, which to me the kids don't feel real. They just feel like they're jokey kind of kids. It feels like they're trying to imitate Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. That's what it feels like. And like I said, too much wide open space, too bright. It kind of doesn't feel like a scary movie. It feels more like a teen melodrama. Now, the strong points I will give you, basically the strong point here is Jamie Lee Curtis. She sells the entire thing. What I did like was that they showed that she has post-traumatic stress. She's an alcoholic. I mean, she's just knocking them back. And I love that. I thought that was great. I thought Jamie Lee Curtis has always been a fantastic actress. She always has. Her best performance, in my personal opinion, being Blue Steel. She's fantastic in that movie. And also True Lies. Of course, I saw that strip scene when I was 12, digressing, so Jamie Lee Curtis will always be my favorite. But, she does a great job in this movie, and she sells it, but it's just kind of the movie around her lets her down, And I think there should have been more kills, and the kills should have been a little bit more brutal. I'm not trying to say they had to be Rob Zombie Halloween 2 or Rob Zombie remake with smashing women through tables and, breaking women's neck while they're butt naked and all. It didn't have to be that. But, like, for example, when he stabs Nash Bridges' daughter, right? I feel like it just looks so goofy. And I remember even at the time when me and my 2 good friends saw it, my friend was kind of making fun of him. He was like, oh, he just killed him. Like, it just looks goofy. Michael looks goofy. Part of the mystique of Michael is that you cannot see his eyes. And I think a big bad choice they made with this film was letting you see the actor's eyes through the mask. I think part of what makes 1 creepy, 2, and even 4, and some of as bad as 5 is, some of the stuff in 5 is that you cannot see any eyes. It's complete darkness. It's a white face, and you see nothing but darkness in there. And that adds to the creepiness. Here, you can wide open see a blue-eyed white guy under there, and that just takes away from it. There's a reference to Halloween 2. Mom, you watched them burn. His hands look fine. I understand they probably weren't trying to be like 4 or 5 or 6 with the burn marks on his hands, but it's like if you're gonna say he was burned, come on, just try here, you know. And back to the killing of Nash Bridges' daughter. I think that if he would, they didn't have to show the knife go into the back. If he would have just went like this, and you could just hear this loud, brutal, and then hear something go, like a really brutal sound effect without even showing it, that would have been like, because I don't feel threatened by Michael in this film at all. Because when I watch 1, he's threatening, 2, he's threatening, and even as much as people hate Halloween 5, he's still very threatening in Halloween 5 and very vicious, and I think, and very sinister, very, very, as a matter of fact, as much as Halloween 5 sucks, that's a very sinister, uncomfortable feeling type of movie, and there's none of that here. And I don't think they personally cared. I think they were just more concerned with Jamie Lee Curtis and slapping it out in the theaters. And I think that's really, this has no sense of dread. It has no sense of danger. It doesn't feel threatening at all. And also, too, I think really if they would have scaled it down, made it more claustrophobic, a little bit darker, and just made the teens feel like they're just doing their thing without being wink wink, because when you watch 1, they just feel like they're doing their thing. But when you watch this, they're being wink wink, and then you got Jodie Foster's son, little man Tate, pumping up. He gets killed off camera. I mean, it just, man, it just, and also too, there's like a scene where like the Michael Myers and Josh Hartnett are like right in front of each other. I personally feel like Josh Hartnett could have kicked his butt. He doesn't feel threatening enough, and Michael doesn't feel sinister or threatening. So I don't feel any sense of danger. The only thing that saves the movie are the references to 1 and 2, Jamie Lee Curtis, and I will admit the very last half of the movie is badass. Like when she stabs him with the 2 knives, he's throwing the tables under, and she's rolling under the tables and ducking him and all that. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Her hitting him with the car and they roll down the hill. Although I don't like how that sequence ends with the chopping off the head, but that's all badass. And I'm not gonna knock on LL. LL was making his money, but I think when they got into that, the star casting and the music that takes away from it. It really takes away from the movie. And I understand they gotta sell the picture, but even if LL would have been in it, if he wouldn't have been so goofy. And then there's just like things like where's the scene where she's gonna stab Michael and he goes, "Oh, he's dead. The scene is so stupid, man. It's like, what? And the scene where George Clooney's dad shoots LL, I'm just like what? And I don't understand what the deal was with the mask. I just can't even figure out. I actually thought the mask that they used in the very beginning of the movie, that was the Halloween 6 mask, I thought that was fine. Now, the mask that they ultimately ended up using in the final movie, like towards the end and stuff, that one looked okay too, but I just, I think there's no sense that Michael is that force of nature who's everywhere with the breathing. And that just comes from they're showing him too much. I think they could have really done more with making his presence be known with the breathing. And maybe like if you had a lot of those shots that Carpenter uses where it's like there's a character in the foreground here, right? So like I'm in the foreground, and then like say that door right there will be blurred, and you'll see somebody walk behind me blurred, right? Background, foreground here, right? Now if they would have used some shots like that, I think in H20, I think it really would have added to the creep factor, because that's kind of the essence of Halloween. A character is here, they don't have any idea that this sense of danger is around them. So if you see this blur walking behind me with a white face, but you can't see it fully, but you feel the presence there, and I don't know, as the character in the movie, I don't know it's there. That's what creates the suspense and the danger. H20 doesn't have that. And then, I really do like the orchestral score of John Carpenter's, but I really think that even if they could have got Alan Howarth or John Carpenter to just come in and do the music, I think that really would have helped, because those are the elements. Or even if they could have got Dean Cundy to be the director of photography to come back, those are the elements that make Halloween 1 and even 2 Halloween, and the suspenseful, dreadful, sinister atmosphere. And I just think this music sounds, although the orchestral score of the Halloween theme is very good, I just think that the music is too pretty sounding. You know, it's just like when you the score for Halloween 2, when it goes dun 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 dun, and you hear those organs pumping, that pumped up version in Halloween 2, you go like, man, it is on. This is we're deep in it now. This is creepy. You know, it just feels too nice and friendly. It's basically a WB version with special guest appearance by Michael Myers, you know. So, all in all, you know, it's nice to see Jamie Lee Curtis. I love her as an actress. I just absolutely adore Jamie Lee Curtis. I love that woman. So I can watch it, and it's fun to see her, and it's just kind of fun to see the little nods to the first one and all of that. But again, I don't feel a sense of danger, and it's trying to be too much like Scream. So for me, H2O is a mixed bag. I don't hate it. I don't really love it. For me, it's just kind of there. So, you know, folks, that's my review of Halloween H2O. Thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and leave comments down below about Halloween H2O from 1998.